Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports from around the world. If this is your first time checking out a video, please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility in the algorithm, and I would greatly appreciate it. It really is one of the best ways to support the channel. Without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of Get Up, talking about Russell Wilson and whether or not Mike Tomlin can resurrect his career. I did not watch this clip. When I was queuing it up, I could see the question, of course, and I that's just an insane statement to make. I really just want to go on a whole long rant about how absurd that is. I want to see what they have to say first. I really hope they say absolutely positively not, because there is zero evidence to believe that there is any chance of that. I mean, it's just it's comical. It's such an absurd statement to make. So there's just no evidence to believe that. So I really want to hear what they have to say, and we could break it down from there. Let's get into it.
That kept him there for one more season. All right, finally, if I said Mike Tomlin can resurrect Russell Wilson's career, is that an overreaction?
I think it's an overreaction. Look, I think we asked the same thing about Sean Payton a year ago, and Sean Payton's history with quarterback, you know, you would think that he would have been the answer, and he didn't, right? I mean, they managed to put something together that was safe and harmless and not very exciting as an offense, and then he still was sick of Russell Wilson, and he benched him at the end of the year. So, no, I think Russell Wilson can probably resurrect Russell Wilson's career to some extent, but I don't think it's going to be situation-specific. I think he's going to have to be able to do things we haven't seen him do the last couple.
Well, we specifically ask about Pittsburgh. D. Wood, come on in here, big fella, and Harry Douglas, I'll start with you. We asked specifically about the Steelers because there are reports out of Pittsburgh that say that the Steelers are interested in Wilson and that his interest is mutual, but it's still very preliminary in all of that. But let me just bounce that off you, Harry. In a world in which the Steelers' quarterback situation next year is Kenny Pickett and Russell Wilson, is that a team that can contend for a Super Bowl in the AFC?
Contend for a Super Bowl? No, it's not. Not with those two guys at the quarterback position. But I will say this. I think having Russell Wilson at the quarterback position over Kenny Pickett is a minor upgrade, because when you look at just 2023 in that entire season, Russell Wilson played better than Kenny Pickett. There were multiple occasions where I watched film and I just didn't understand what Kenny Pickett was trying to go with the football based on the coverage that was being displayed. When you look at Russell Wilson, I think he's a guy that can still play the game of football. Now, I'm not going to say he's a Russell Wilson that we've seen early on or the middle of his career when he was in Seattle. But whenever you're able to throw for 3,000 yards and you can complete 66% of your passes and have 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, and you missed 2 games because your coach wanted to bench you because you didn't want to alter your injury clause in your contract, then I would take that quarterback if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers.
What do you think, D. Wood? I mean, the Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson, Steelers, a team that you're competing with Burrow, you're competing with Lamar, you're competing in a conference that has Mahomes and Allen and all those guys. Is that enough?
Doesn't move the needle at all. It really doesn't. I mean, let's just be honest. Look at all the quarterbacks. Not only just within their own division, you got a 2-time league MVP. You got a guy in Joe Burrow who's been to a Super Bowl, who's one of our best quarterbacks that we have in our league. Are you going to sit here and tell me that Kenny Pickett and Russell Wilson would really compete with those guys? Like, come on, like we got to stop kidding ourselves here. And listen, as far as Kenny Pickett is concerned, I think that situation. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers look at that situation more that Matt Canada was the problem, more so than Kenny Pickett. That's why they brought in Arthur Smith, made the change to offensive coordinator, because they're going to give Kenny Pickett every opportunity to basically prove them wrong, that it was a failed pick. That's just the way the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to look at this whole thing.
Harry Douglas.
So, okay, I think he brought up some interesting points, because we always love to just compare quarterbacks, right? Back, in terms of when their two teams are playing each other, like he just kind of did. Can Kenny Pickett beat Joe Burrow? The truth of the matter is, Brock Purdy almost beat Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. And honestly, the 49ers should have won that game. And it wasn't necessarily because of Brock Purdy's lack of play. Now, if Brock Purdy was a better quarterback, could he have overcome some of those issues? Of course, right? Of course. If you're better, you're going to be better and be able to do better things. But you can't say that Brock Purdy lost the Super Bowl for the 49ers or lost to Patrick Mahomes necessarily. But in that game, when the Chiefs needed a big play and needed Mahomes to be magical, to be Mahomes, Mahomes was able to do it. So that is the difference maker. But as we see, when the team is as good as, say, like the 49ers, you can win without perfect quarterback play. And this is not a knock at Brock Purdy at all. I think Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. So if you think that the Steelers are incredibly well coached, have a great defense, and have a lot of great offensive weapons, and now they just need an OC to tie it all together, which now they got their new OC, then yes, having a Russell Wilson or a Kenny Pickett or any of these guys would in theory be enough to go. You don't need a quarterback as good as a Josh Allen or a Joe Burrow to win. You would be in similar situation as this past Super Bowl, where yes, you can't rely on Kenny Pickett. You can't just say, all right, Kenny Pickett, we need this, man. Go out and get us, this victory. But if everything is firing and everything is working well, then you can win. But that is what made the 49ers vulnerable, is that if there is a fumble here, or if Debo does go down, or if it is a little rainy, if it isn't a perfect day, or you are playing a really, really great, tight-knit team that is firing at all cylinders, then your chances of success do go down considerably. And so that is the risk that you run trying to trot out a Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson. But with that said, it does also stabilize you. I think Kenny Pickett, again, we have all different levels of quarterback play, of when someone's just not a starter, when someone's just not good enough, and when someone's a lower end starter. You have other quarterbacks that just absolutely bring your team down. They just too consistently make the wrong decision or put your team in a bad position to succeed. Now, a lot of times this is often combined with an OC that just doesn't know how to control the offense and doesn't know how to minimize damage. And that's what we see with great offensive coaches. And I don't even mean the amazing Andy Reids or Sean McVays of that nature, but just really good, competent, maybe one day will be considered the geniuses of the league, offensive minds, that they can make a Gardner Minshew work. They can make a Sam Darnold work. Again, not to say that they're just going to be winning Super Bowls with these quarterbacks, but they can make it work. They can minimize the damage, and they can get the most out of those players. So if you think the Steelers' new OC is that, then yes, I think the Steelers could make some noise in the AFC. And right, I'm not predicting them to win a Super Bowl, but could they be a really tough out for, again, I'm making up teams here, but the Texans, the Bills, dare I even say the Chiefs, right? Especially if that defense is really able to, disrupt Patrick Mahomes. It's possible. Again, we saw the Chiefs go up against the 49ers in that way, and the 49ers almost won. And if you're comparing Patrick Mahomes to Brock Purdy, if you think that's even a conversation, I don't know what to tell you. So we know it's possible. But the difference is that they had Shanahan as their OC, and they had some dudes, obviously. We all know the names: Debo, Christian McCaffrey, Kittle. I mean, we know what it is. And so that's what you have to ask yourself if you're the Steelers organization. What are you looking to do? Do you think you can win a Super Bowl with this roster and you need a quarterback? If that's the case, I'm not so sure what you're doing with Kenny Pickett and Russell Wilson. If you think, listen, Kenny Pickett's actually a great quarterback, great head on his shoulders. Our OC was just a disaster. We waited too long. We need to get a new OC in here. We need a legit offensive mind that we can trust. And Kenny Pickett is going to be a really, really solid quarterback. He is going to be a Kirk Cousins level quarterback. If that's the case, then you can win. If you had Kirk Cousins here, I think you could win. And that's the thing too. And Kirk Cousins is a big question mark because of his injury. But if we just knew magically Kirk Cousins, the way how medicine is right now and science and surgeries, he's coming back 100%, no ifs, ands, or buts. And if you think that the Steelers are just a quarterback away from winning a Super Bowl, then they should go make a play for Kirk Cousins. Or they should say, hey, we'll go to the Dallas Cowboys and say, listen, we know you're not really happy with Dak. Let's do something. Dak, waive your no trade clause. Come to Steeler Nation. We want you as our quarterback. We'll give you a big deal. And again, I'm not saying this all makes sense from a salary cap or what's the possibility, but it's just like, go out and be aggressive. Go do what you need to do. Sitting with a Kenny Pickett or a Russell Wilson is not going to get you to that next level. But if you don't think that you have a Super Bowl roster, then why waste your time with Russell Wilson? Why not then just continue to develop Kenny Pickett and see what you can do? Because then if he really turns out to not be that good, then your team won't be that good and you'll draft high again. And then it's no harm, no foul. But going out and getting Russell Wilson and doing all that, because then it also becomes harder to evaluate your offense and your OC when you're bringing in another new quarterback. And it's like, Russell Wilson needs to get situated. He needs to, learn the offense. It just becomes a different process that then becomes harder to evaluate. So you have to just ask yourself, if you're the Steelers, what type of roster do you have? What do you think you can do? And what do you think you're missing? And, I laid out the options, all based on what you think it is. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Do you think the Steelers are just a quarterback away? Do you think Kenny Pickett could be like a Kirk Cousins or maybe even better? Or do you think he's just proven to be a wash? And do you think they would be better with Russell Wilson? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing or the most amazing thing, either way, let me know. Let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really, really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.